Here. Good morning to you all. We begin our first session of the day. Welcome to the second day of the Palm Conference and Seminar Program. Our first session of the day is on greater opportunities in the AV industry by Mr. Prashant Govindan, who is the Regional Consultant India for Generation AV. Joining us in this session is Mr. Anil Chopra, who's the founding director of Palm Expo. It's my honor to invite Mr. Prashant Govindan, who's a dynamic leader with over 2 decades worth of experience in starting up and growing businesses in professional audio, video, lighting, and control systems. As an independent business consultant to leading manufacturers, he looks after setting up or growing India and SAARC presence in professional audio and video businesses. Most recently, in his previous role, Prashant was the Senior Director, India and SAARC for Harman Professional. He previously also served as Regional Manager for BIAM System. Moving on to Mr. Chopra, he has decades of contribution to the music and media industry in India. Founder director of Palm Expo in 2001, he founded the IRA, Indian Recording Arts Awards in 2005 for sound recording and engineers. He also started Palm Sound and Light Awards that recognizes professionals and companies for outstanding contribution in the pro audio and lighting in 2010. He's also created the AV-ICN platforms in 2009. At present, he is international consultant with Hive India, who own the Palm AV-ICN platforms. Mr. Chopra has also edited and published India's first music industry magazine, Playback and Fast Forward, and other magazines such as Pro Sound System, Optical Disc System, and Cinema System. I request everyone to pay attention as we begin the first session. Gentlemen, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for being present here. This is a very important subject in front of the industry and definitely in front of the Expo platform also. We are all aware about the importance of education, and we do know that that is the be-all and end-all of all corporate excellence. And I'm very happy to have Prashant Govindan with us today. He has been a kind of a missionary in regard to nurturing talent. And he was heading the Harman operations in India. And pro audio as such, and AV even more so, being a highly technical field, heading such an operation for a world's leading brand like Harman, naturally you can imagine that in building up the talent for his team, he was at the edge trying to understand how to do this. So he went on an experiment. I will let him explain that and give us the details of this. It is an experiment of great learning for all those who are going to see this and emulate the example. And I think that's a learning experience for all of you also. So I will ask Prashant. Prashant, you were challenged in terms of building the team of your sales people, or even otherwise the people who run the operations for a gamut of global brands, all representing cutting-edge technology. You were challenged in how to build a team of dedicated, committed force, I would rather call it a force, that you wanted. And I understand you did something unique, which is a leadership activity, leadership enterprise from your side. Please tell the audience, we have a lot of people here, as to what exactly you imagined, how did you put it in action, and what were the results of the experiment in building up a team of the force who knew more, who learned more, and who did more for your sales?
First of all, good morning, everyone. And thank you for the very kind words, Chopra sir. First thing before I even start, I must say that this is a fantastic industry forum. And thank you for organizing this, made sure that the momentum is not lost after the pandemic. A lot of people said this is going to end and we will not see a Palm show ever again. And I kept my hopes up. We used to keep talking all the time, and we used to say, well, this is the industry forum that a lot of people look up to. So we cannot let this die. And thanks again to Chopra sir and his wonderful team for getting this forum back together. To answer his question, I'd like to backtrack a couple of decades. You know, I'm not an AV professional. I'm not even an audio professional. So I came into this industry by accident. I was basically, in fact, I'm an engineer. I'm a computer engineer. I was trained in software technology. I did my master's in software technology. And this was back in the day when everyone said, oh, software is the next big thing. And so I followed everybody into the software world. After spending a couple of years in various roles in the software industry, I realized maybe my creative juices were not being fulfilled. I was not finding enthusiasm in my work. I was not enjoying my work. So one of the chance encounters in on one of the flights, I used to work in the UK, in Glasgow, and on my way back, I met this one gentleman who, you know, kind of introduced me, gave me a glimpse of what the professional audio industry is. And the rest, they say, is history. I came back to India. He offered me a position to start as the general manager for one of the leading distribution companies at that time, the company called Architectural Audio. And we were representing several brands, several global brands, which were unheard of before. But the key thing over there was the digital technology. These were the first few products in the professional audio world that had embraced digital technology, digital signal processing, digital networking, digital audio, and so on and so forth. And that is what excited me as a computer professional to enter this field. But as I dug deeper, I found that there's a lot more to audio. There's a lot more to AV. There's a lot more to this technology. And from there, it's been a learning journey. I have embraced this completely, and I can tell you the last 18 years have been full of fun and games, and you know, it's never felt like work for me, ever. So that is the perspective I want to start with. Coming back to Sir's question about what happened at Harman and everything. So over a few years, I came to work for Harman as the head of the professional division. And one of the things that I found, or rather to my chagrin, was that there wasn't enough talent in the industry. I mean, all of the people who came into the industry came in accidentally. They either came from music production, they were either musicians, they were either from the events industry, but not entirely by choice. They didn't choose this career. They came upon this career. So we were left with a small talent pool. Same set of people, you know. They were moving from company to company, you know, role to role. So I found we need to change this somehow. You know, we need to bring a fresh pool of talent into this industry. And so I started talking to a lot of educational institutes, starting from MBA colleges to engineering colleges and so on. And they said, sir, we have no such course. We have no AV course, we have no professional audio course, don't even have an advanced electronics course where people can learn some of the technologies that you are using or applying. I was dismayed. I said, if that's the case, then how are we going to bring fresh blood into the industry? You know, so we said, okay, as Harman, we have some budget to spare. I went back to the headquarters and I said, we will start by taking interns from colleges. I mean, we will not go to the top MBA colleges, like we won't go to the IIMs, etc., because they are already having such wonderful offers from the financial sector and from software and so on. So we said, let's go to institutes where people are hungry. They are hungry to experience something new, want to develop something, you know, give something different to the society, etc. So we went to some not so well-known institutes, but still very good ones across the country. And I started traveling and doing campus interviews myself. So one of the things that we paid attention to was the creative energy of the candidate, to make sure that they they really want to do something different. And so we initially, I remember we went and started looking for two people. And I went to this institute in Pune. It's an institute called ISBNM, fantastic institute. And we put out the ad for campus interviews. We expected maybe 5 or 10 people to turn up. To my surprise, there were 300 applicants for two jobs, for two roles, management trainee, 300 applicants. Now, I went back to my management and I said, it looks like we will have to take a little more, we'll have to take some more people. They said, okay, you identify by merit and come back to us. So we started the interview process, which took almost a week for us to complete. And we finally came out with 6 excellent candidates. 3, and just for diversity's sake, we had 3 guys and 3 girls. And I must say, today they are in our industry. They are doing extremely well. They have found fantastic careers. I mean, some of them have moved on from Harman. A couple of them are still in Harman. And I'm telling you, it's been the most fulfilling experience in my 18, 20 years of my career, where I have actually seen talent come out of the college. We were able to nurture them, put them through different roles, through sales, through marketing, through customer support, through service, and built complete, well-rounded professionals. This is, in my opinion, the very first program in our industry which has taken campus to office sort of a situation. So that I'm very proud of. I'm happy to share more details about it. And I'm now convinced there is talent. It is just that we have to go look for it.
Thank you, Prashant. I got the impression that you have defined that for a career in our industry, if I may call it our industry, that is the pro audio, pro lighting, pro AV, you found 3 things. One, the person should be in this industry by choice and not by default. And you found that there were no courses available anywhere for people who have a choice to be in this industry, to learn. And the other thing was, one was that there's no courses available and that it should be by choice. And so you felt that you should go and find the students who you would teach. So did you have an intensive teaching program for these students you hired out of the 300? How much time, how much investment did you make in teaching them about the technical aspect, maybe about the products? Or did you feel that that was not so important?
That's an excellent question, because we always assume that anybody who comes into this industry has to be technical, which is a good trait to have. You know, people should understand technology, one form or the other. But I also found that if you have a receptive mind, if you are willing to learn new things, new techniques, new technologies, new paradigms, it's not difficult. It's not difficult to learn. So of the 6 candidates that we took, and this was in year 2017, 3 of them were more or less technical. They came from an engineering background. They had some exposure to technology. And you know, they were probably electronics engineers or something like that. But we didn't really look at that. And the other 3 were from commerce backgrounds. One was, I still remember, were from an arts background. And all of these students, the one trait that really caught my attention was their sheer will, determination, and passion. You know, so my first question to them was, what music do you listen to?
I see.
So because obviously you have to have some form of passion for music, for this technology. I mean, at the end of the day, we are providing an experience. So we wanted them to understand what is their understanding of this industry. And a lot of them came back and said, oh, I listen to Bollywood, I listen to EDM, I listen to rock, pop, whatever. So I said, what is it in that music that you appreciate, or what is it that you are enthusiastic about? And they came back and gave me very, very fine nuances of some of the artists, some of the instruments they use. Some of them came back and said, I love the guitarist, you know, and this is the brand of guitar that he uses. And for me, that was an interesting aspect, because if you're willing to explore the arts from a different point of view, that is the start of a new journey. And coming to the question about what kind of training we provided, at Harman we have a very exhaustive and in detail, you know, I wouldn't call it a syllabus, but it's a very comprehensive course that we get people to go through. It starts with the basics of electronics, of audio, acoustics, engineering. So all of these they were taken through it over a period of 6 months. That is the theory portion of it, but theory is just one part of it. The real learning, in my opinion, lies in the field. And the first job that all of them went through was sales. And in my opinion, when you are in front of a customer, when you're in front of a dealer, in front of a consultant, they will grill you and they have no mercy. So they were put through the paces. Some of them at that few instances failed, but that's fine. But they learned and they came back. And I must say that they have made me very, very proud.
Thank you so much. So you feel, of course, passion is a great ingredient, and then there's a level, application of knowledge factors in AV, but you feel that intent, choice, and a little bit of passion, and then you have somebody who can make a great career in the AV industry or in the pro audio industry. Now, yesterday we had a session in our conference on when you have a mega event, like where there are, 6 lakh audience, and the live event is going over about 5 or 6 kilometers, and you have, covering this huge area, 6 lakhs people, and you have a big challenge how to ensure that your sound system, your pro audio system, or your sound engineering, your sound entire setup which you are putting up does not fail at the very last moment. So any of these mega events you have, and similarly, Prashant also was at a session about AV. When you have a mega AV project, how do we ensure excellence? How do we ensure that they're meeting global standards? How do we ensure that the people executing the project have not got the project through devious means from various government associations, but they have the knowledge, they have the in-depth understanding of the ramifications and the impact of such a huge projects? How do we reach, how does India as a country have a developed industry, pro audio industry, and a developed AV industry, where we are confident that the companies or the people are doing the project at the global standards, global specs, and of course, to this extent, there's always a beginning part, there's a beginning aspect. So we have organized and we have instituted and created the Certified AV Specialist course. It's a 3-day course running at the show, where we have students who are participating, who are paying 6,000 rupees for 3 days of learning about the basic standards, specifications, and new trends in AV technology, to make them a part of the AV industry with some credibility if they carry the certificate. Of course, the certificate does not substitute, as Prashant said, passion and choice and the more technical learning, but it's a beginning. So we have the CAVS program, and I would like to say that 30 years back, when we started the Palm magazine, and we had articles and on how to place microphones, how does a speaker system work, and those were the days when everybody wanted to learn, and we had been publishing the magazine since then, and there were a lot of readers, and a lot of people understood how to put up a studio, and who were gravitating, who were excited about this industry, they were attracted to it. So we provided them a learning experience through the Palm magazine, which we published at that time, and since many years. So education is at the backbone, and of course, as Indians, we all know that we have survived as a nation because of education, and we have thrived as a nation globally because of our education. We all know that our mothers are willing to sell jewelry just so that the son is educated. So we have the right emphasis towards education in this country. We have the right emphasis and the right attitude towards education. The point I want to make is that we need to create, like he found that day, that there was nobody teaching pro audio. There was nobody teaching pro sound. Now, yesterday we had a session from Roger Drego, and he was talking about how to understand how the power should be distributed, how the sound reinforcement distribution should be there, and so many, many things. And when Congress was having a big event in Bombay 30 years ago, the entire system failed. The entire system failed, the voice was not being carried, and there was big problems over there. And he was called in the middle of the night to solve the problems. And he had educated himself. He knew about the systems, he knew about the standards, what specs to use, how to distribute the sound, how to distribute the power for the sound, how to ensure that the sound will carry. So it's a very glamorous industry, but there's a lot of serious technology, serious knowledge required at the back. And as Prashant said in his experiment, that you need to have a clear-cut vision about your career in the industry. You need to give yourself the intention and choice and learning, and then there is no end to how much you can succeed as a career, and you can have as good a career as IT, or you can have as good a career as a corporate honcho. You can have a good career, earn a lot of money, and lead the good life in this industry as a technician. Even as a technician, this is the message we want to carry, even as a technician, or into the technology that requires to design new product. What do you think about that, about India wanting to design new stuff, and how the talent has to be nurtured for that as a career?
So I think there is a dearth of talent globally, not just in India.
Okay.
And I mean, I've been looking at international markets as well. So I used to look after India, Middle East, and Africa in my last assignment with Biamp Systems. And I used to travel extensively across the Middle East and parts of Africa as well. Africa, obviously, we know, as you expect, there's not enough knowledge and technology, etc. But even when you travel to countries like South Africa, you find that there are gaps in their knowledge. See, traditionally what has happened is the AV industry or the sound industry has come from the West. I mean, typically these are, you'd find the hotspots, or rather the knowledge bases of, these are typically in North America, in Europe, and maybe parts of Southeast Asia. That's where you find most of the talented professionals, or who have undergone, formal courses and who have experience in this technology. And as a result, in the English-speaking world, you would find a lot of them have moved on to places like South Africa, maybe in the Middle East now, in Dubai, and so and so. And that's where you'll find there are hotspots of skills and talent. But when you look at the larger global geography, you find that there aren't enough professionals out there. And most of them are just learning. I mean, India's, I think, still ahead of the curve even now.
I see.
Still ahead of the curve. And I'll give you a little bit of perspective. Again, this is my opinion. I could be wrong. Is that our industry, or rather our technical knowledge base, in the right from the engineering courses, we kind of took a big leap from the basic engineering courses, which are mechanical, electrical, chemical, etc. And from there, we directly went to IT. I don't think we have enough talent pool in analog electronics, telecommunications.
Pure audio from the
yeah,
beginning,
I mean, so we kind of leapfrogged a couple of technologies, almost like, in the rest of North America, they built this whole landline network, and we leapfrogged to mobile.
Yes.
So there is a huge case study about how that happened. But similarly, in India, we kind of skipped through some levels and went straight to IT, to software technology. And even when you look at computer technology, We don't have enough professionals who know hardware inside out, who know VLSI design, who know compiler construction. You know, some of these very core technologies that you know, are required for computers. We don't have that many professionals because all of them have either migrated to the US, the famous brain drain, etc. The people who come out of the IITs, etc.
Mr. Bose, Mr. Rannan.
Absolutely. So they all went to greener pastures earlier on in their careers. And we then now have a huge pool of IT professionals, you know, of software technology. And these are people who write code in application technology, not so much in operating systems or you know, firmware and those sort of things. So there is a gap in the knowledge. And because AV, by its very nature, is a amalgamation of electrical, even mechanical, telecommunication, and you know, high-end digital technology, computer. Yeah, I mean, you have to know your computers. You have to know digital protocols. You have to know transport protocols. You have to know telecommunication. I mean, you have to know how to even crimp a Cat5 cable.
Yes, yes, yes.
Those skills are not present enough. I mean, there are people, but they're very, very few. So because AV is a multidisciplinary sort of a field, you know, you have to be, in a way, a jack of all trades, but also have the capability to be flexible and to be able to grasp new technology fundamentally very fast. I think that is the core of the AV industry because it's not one track. I mean, you need to have broad experience, a broad exposure to a lot of technologies. So for all of those who are aspiring to grow in AV, I would suggest that, you know, start with the basics. In fact, during some of the interviews for application engineers who would come to interview with us, they would talk all big terms and big stuff, and I'd say, forget all that. Tell me, what is Ohm's law? Really? And I must tell you, 8 out of 10 candidates failed that test.
I see.
They could not.
The basic.
It's Ohm's law is the basic.
It's the absolute basic.
Yeah, I mean, if you cannot, and my colleagues would laugh at me. They'll say, "क्या sir, क्यों आप पूछ रहे हो आप?" मतलब इससे आपको पता चलेगा कि how's that guy geared to think? Because if coming out of Ohm's law comes impedance, comes speakers. You know, how many speakers would you put on a line? You know, so impedance matching. The whole thing follows from there. So how will you teach that person anything new if the basics are not clear?
Right.
I would rather have appreciated the guy says, "I don't know, sir. मुझे नहीं पता. आप मुझे सिखाओ."
Right.
And there are some people that way who have come to me and said, "I don't know anything, but I'm willing to learn. Give me 6 months and I will learn." And I'm like, "ठीक है, जाओ, पढ़ के वापस आ जाओ. I'll give you a fair chance to interview again with us." And then, so that I think is a problem. The lack of, or rather the gap in skills, which has come about because the careers in AV were taking off back in the late 90s when I was graduating. Everyone wanted to be a computer engineer. Everyone wanted to go to the US. And then everyone wanted to be part of the dot-com bubble, etc. So people didn't really go through the basics. Now, having said that IT was a sunrise industry. 20 years ago, everybody was in IT, made lots of money, Silicon Valley, etc., etc. And we're all sitting pretty on that multi-billion-dollar enterprise. I think the time for AV is now.
Fantastic.
Because AV is, I mean, mark my words, AV is the next IT. Because this is an extension of those technologies. This is an extension of multimedia. This is an extension of broadcast. This is an extension of live sound. So all of this has come together as what we now call ICT, Integrated Communication Technologies. It has become one big industry, and this is the sunrise of that industry. So if you're not part of this boom, please be. Go talk about it to all of your, peers and nieces and nephews and sons and daughters and everyone out there that this is the industry to come to because there's so much opportunity. And this is a fun industry. This is all about the experience. You know, here we are all of us are selling experiences. All of us are catering to experiences. As we talk right now, they're delivering this experience. You know, I can sit here and say how good or bad the acoustics of the room is, how good or bad the microphone systems are, whatever it is. But the point is, this is all about delivering the right experience to the audience. And this, in my opinion, is missed out in a lot of talks, a lot of discussions about AV. We are in the fun part of the industry. So let us talk about that to the aspiring students and say, come, let's have fun.
Right, I agree. So as he said that AV is the next IT, and I think that is a fantastic statement as an impulsive, to create an impulse and impetus in all of you to look at AV very seriously as a career for the rest of your life. And AV is the next IT. I like that mantra. And at CAVS, when we were designing the curriculum, we were thinking a bit that how basic should we go? Or should we straight jump to the new standards and specs for the connectors? And should we straight jump to, what AV is doing today? Because 4 years ago, you had a very senior AV consultant, and you had a very large AV company charging you lakhs and lakhs of rupees to give you video conferencing. And they would make it sound the most difficult thing on earth with a lot of black boxes, a lot of connectors, a lot of wires. And today, everything has gone down in the dustbin. Today you have Microsoft Teams, you have Zoom, the whole world is on video conferencing, and the technology of AV technology has just taken a huge, gigantic leap with the internet. And the question of broadband, and the question of all those apps and all those huge platforms like Microsoft Teams and Zoom platform. So video conferencing is now no more one of the major revenue sources for an AV company. And so what do? There's huge, gigantic mega projects coming up in all the airports, in all the railway stations, in all the corporate buildings, in the stadiums, in hospitality, in the hospitals. So there is AV, everything is AV. You cannot have an organization, you cannot have a building without AV. And we hope that our CAVS graduates to CAVSD, where we talk about designing. And as he said, that you join the AV industry and you're looking forward to a life of fun, because what are you looking at? There is 5G coming in. 5G is going to change everything. You could be seeing a dragon in this room flying in the air because of the 5G streaming and all the technology that we have developed in display, in holographic display, in carrying sound with the AV. So there is the imagination can only give you as to what AV can do. And, the future is definitely AV in terms of, the broadband and the fact that, everything is going to be broadband. And, we all know that OTT is the new, and OTT is pure AV. It is just pure AV carrying the AV signal on the broadband. And broadcast is almost, you could say, dead. And because it's all going to be AV soon, it's all going to be streaming. So a lot of flux and a lot of change and a lot of big leaps are going to take place in the next couple of years with the 3D and with AR and VR, and AV is going to give you that, and then of course, as he said that IT, AV is IT, and India has got a huge pool of IT people who should look beyond the job in Infosys and TCS, who should look at the AV industry seriously, contribute there, contribute with ideas. And, this is it. So I think, I hope we have motivated you guys, and his experiment and proof of pudding is in the eating. The fact that, a little bit of learning and of opportunity gives you a good career. So Prashant, is there any parting words for our huge...
Actually, I just wanted to run through some of the so-called opportunities.
Yes.
I was sitting over here and I was just making a couple of quick notes. And I started thinking where all, Chopra sir has been kind enough to mention a whole bunch of opportunities here. But let me tell you, there are very, very unique opportunities in things like sound masking, for example. Does everyone here knows what sound masking is? Show of hands, please. Okay, so
Sound masking.
anyway, at least
Yeah,
half the
so many
room
people.
understands what sound masking is. For the uninitiated, it is basically, when you have an open plan office, when you have multiple people working in an office, typically what happens is you can overhear each other. There is a lot of disturbance because of people speaking around you. Now, when you want privacy in phone calls, when you want privacy around you, you can inject artificial white noise into the room and thereby, kind of mask the sound around you, despite being in an open plan office. It's a fantastic technology. Now, when I started my career in 2004, we were going around talking to a lot of people about sound masking, and they thought it was some future tech, you know. And then when they heard about the cost of implementation, they'd say, no, it's not required. We Indians are used to talking over each other, no big deal. But as global companies came into India, that became a predominant necessity. Now, I was in Bangalore last week and I was talking to a few integrators. They said that is one of the fastest growing segments in the AV industry, sound masking. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And you have to calibrate the system properly, otherwise it's useless. So there are professionals now who are sound masking experts. And I don't claim to be one, but I have enough knowledge to comment. But I can tell you that is going to be one of the fastest growing areas. So for every office that is being developed in Bangalore or Gurgaon or Mumbai or all of these places, you will absolutely need this technology. And as people experience this, they are more and more convinced that this is something that adds to their productivity, leads to lesser fatigue at work. And so these are what I call workplace technologies. Now, who would have thought AV technology becoming a piece of the workplace? So that is one. Secondly, I wanted to also very quickly touch upon, this paging and evacuation. Have you heard of life safety paging? All of you all in the room, industry professionals. Basically, it's basically, you must have seen these little plastic speakers in every facility that you've been to. What those speakers are supposed to do is that in case of a fire or an emergency, an automated message will come through telling you where is the exit and please head to that exit. Now, that is because when there is a fire, in all probability, there is power failure as well. None of the lights will function. So for you to be able to locate the exit with dense smoke, and to be able to find your path, you need voice evacuation messages to be delivered to you. That is so critical. I mean, it is very sad in India that we hear of so many deaths because of fire. And I'm sure half of those deaths, or maybe a majority of those deaths, could have been avoided had there been proper planning, had there been a proper life safety evacuation system. In Europe and in North America, it is mandatory. It is absolutely mandatory to have buildings. They will not give you an occupancy certificate otherwise. They will not allow you to occupy the building until and unless the system is installed, tested along with the fire, sprinklers and fire alarms and everything. So that, in my opinion, is going to be, as safety becomes paramount in our society, that is going to be another big area of growth. There are a few players in that market, but I can assure you that when I was working for Biamp, I did a 40 building fire evacuation safety system for the Princess Noura University in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. And it was such a learning experience because we had to, make sure that the prayer calls come through despite of the fire messages and so on. So there were specific regional requirements and so on. So those are areas which I think are still growing, are still emerging, hasn't fully emerged. And for anyone who's looking to build a career in AV industry, it's not just entertainment, it's not just fun and games. Also, there is a lot of useful applications which are, I would say, more important in terms of fire and safety and actual utility. So, I could sit here and talk all day. I have a whole set of notes, but I know that we are a little bit falling short of time. But suffice to say that in my parting notes, I would suffice to say that this is a sunrise sector. We haven't seen even a fraction of its size yet. This will grow to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. And for all the professionals out there who are looking to make a career, I can't think of a better place to be in the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Prashant, very much. And I would like to inform everybody that next year we have a AV hall. We have the AV-ICN Expo in Hall 3 over here. And we are focused a lot on AV. We have started CAVS for the education in AV. We are having a 3-day conference on AV. We have the Expo on AV next year. And we want this to be the gravity center, our platform for AV technology and business in AV and the opportunities. But I want to thank Prashant for sharing all his experience and knowledge with us. And please, a round of applause for Prashant, please.
I'll be around if anyone wants to.
We are
chat a
open
little
for
bit.
questions if anyone would like to answer any questions.
Yeah, sure. Can we? I'm
Any
sorry,
questions, ladies and gentlemen?
do you want to take any questions? No, we are done. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be outside if you want to. Yeah.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Please stay back. I request Mr. Anil Chopra to present Mr. Prashant with the token of appreciation. I call upon Ms. Smita Rai, Deputy Project Director of Palm Expo, to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Prashant Govindan. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to stay back. Our next session is on Dolby Atmos for music by Mr. Shri Jayesh Nair, requesting everyone to come in the front so we have a more focused audience. Thank you.